Hello everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a topic that touches the very heart of Islamic history. A story often shrouded in silence and controversy. Have you ever wondered what truly happened during the final hours of the Prophet of Islam? What unfolded in those sacred moments that shaped the destiny of a billion people? And why does so much of that story seem hidden, tucked away between the lines of our history books? We're going to explore these questions through a groundbreaking book, The Black Box by Sheikh Ahmed Al-Salman. This isn't just another historical chronicle. It's an intellectual journey, an attempt to unlock a sealed black box of history, to reveal what was silenced, and to question what was written. The author, Sheikh Salman, starts with a powerful reminder. The history we've inherited wasn't written in a vacuum. It was shaped by political forces, by rulers who weren't just recording the truth, but actively trying to control it. He explains how countless historical accounts were revised, censored, or selectively preserved to serve the interests of those in power. This distortion, he argues, began immediately after the Prophet's passing. It was a time when politics and the quest for authority began to overshadow the divine message itself. One of the most striking examples he gives is how early historians portrayed the Prophet's final moments. They often minimized or completely ignored the pivotal role of Imam Ali ibn Abi, the Prophet's closest companion, his cousin, and his son-in-law. While others were absent, preoccupied with matters of succession, it was Imam Ali alone who tended to the Prophet's blessed body, who washed him, shrouded him, and prepared him for his final resting place. This single detail tells a much larger story about who was present and who was not. To understand the end, the author takes us back to the beginning. He revisits the miraculous birth of the Prophet, a moment when cosmic signs announced his arrival. The sacred fire of the Persians was extinguished. The palaces of powerful kings trembled, and a brilliant light rose from Mecca, illuminating the entire horizon. Sheikh Salman presents these events not as mere myths, but as divine symbols, pointers to the extraordinary destiny that surrounded the messenger of God from his very first breath. A mission that began with a world-changing light and ended, tragically, with betrayal and a deafening silence. Now we get to one of the book's boldest sections. Sheikh Salman exposes how political authority was used to reshape the collective memory of Islam right after the Prophet's departure. He describes a systematic campaign where early historical reports and hadiths were burned, banned, or edited. The official reason given was to protect Muslim unity. But the author argues that the real motive was to conceal the Prophet's explicit guidance about who should lead the community after him. History, he explains, was rewritten to legitimize new power structures. It was edited to glorify new rulers and, crucially, to erase the rightful heirs of the Prophet's mission: his beloved daughter Fatima, his successor Ali, and their sons, Hassan and Hussein. This wasn't just a political maneuver. It was the birth of a new ideology. An ideology that would redefine core Islamic concepts like imamate, justice, and consultation for generations to come, creating a version of history that served the state, not the truth. So, this begs the question: how was our history actually written? The author breaks it down into three major stages, which reveal a deeply flawed process. First, there was the stage of prohibition. For decades after the Prophet's death, the act of writing down hadiths and historical accounts was officially banned by the ruling authorities. This prohibition led to the loss of countless authentic reports and opened the door for memory to be altered and manipulated. Oral transmission became the only way, and it was vulnerable to both error and influence. Next came the stage of selection. When writing was finally permitted, it wasn't a free-for-all. It came with strict political oversight. Only those narratives that aligned with the official state ideology were allowed to be recorded and circulated. Anything that challenged the ruler's legitimacy or highlighted the rights of the Prophet's family was suppressed. Finally, we have the stage of compilation. During the Abbasid era, centuries later, massive historical and hadith collections were compiled. These are the books that form the basis of much of our understanding today. But the author points out a critical flaw. These compilations didn't record what truly happened. They recorded what had survived the decades of prohibition and the systematic censorship. They were a filtered version of the past. Sheikh Salman concludes that Islamic history must be deconstructed, layer by layer, to separate what was genuine from what was politically manufactured. He leaves us with a powerful statement that will stay with you. History is not only what was written, but also what was forbidden to be written. This leads us to the book's most sensitive and crucial section, the Prophet's final moments. Why are there so many conflicting reports about his passing? Why do narrations differ so widely on who was by his side when his soul departed? The book argues that mainstream narratives often dance around the central truth, a truth that many find uncomfortable. According to the traditions preserved by the Prophet's family, the Al-Bayt, the Prophet Muhammad did not leave this world without appointing a successor. He clearly and repeatedly designated Imam Ali as the leader and guardian of the Ummah after him. This divine command, however, was quickly overshadowed by political conflict and ambition in the immediate aftermath of his death. The event of Saqifa, where the succession was decided, while the Prophet's family was still mourning and preparing his body, became the turning point where the path of the community diverged from the Prophet's final will. And so, the black box becomes more than just a historical analysis. It becomes a profound reflection on the identity of the Muslim Ummah. It suggests that the story of our beginning directly determines the direction of our future. If we misunderstand the foundation, how can we hope to build the structure correctly? Sheikh Ahmad Salman ends his work not with anger, but with deep spiritual insight. His goal is not to reopen old wounds or to create division. It is to open our eyes. He invites every Muslim, from every background, to seek the truth with courage, with intellectual honesty, and with an open heart. For him, the Prophet's passing was not just the end of a life. It was the beginning of a great test for his followers, a test of loyalty, of integrity, and of awareness. He reminds us that seeking truth is, in itself, an act of faith. The black box of Islamic history must be opened, not to divide us, but to illuminate the path of justice and genuine understanding that the Prophet laid out for us. In conclusion, the black box is not just a book. It is a moral call to action, a call to look beyond the silence, to question the inherited narratives we've taken for granted, and to rediscover the pure message of the Prophet through the lens of unfiltered truth. The authoress' words echo with both sorrow for what was lost and hope for what can be found. The hope that we may one day learn not only what happened, but why it mattered. And the hope that the light of the Prophet Muhammad, though covered by layers of politics and distortion, still shines brightly for all those who seek it with sincere hearts. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. If this topic resonated with you, I highly recommend exploring the book for yourself. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that challenges us to think deeper. See you next time.